So we actually have a very special guest today. This is Iven Tse, who is a lawyer working in Greater Vancouver, specializing in real estate law.
Thank you, Lori, for having me here today.
Thank you so much for being here. And we actually had some questions for you. One particularly is we see a lot of parents, they're helping their children purchase their first home in Vancouver. However, the parents are actually wondering how they can protect their money that they're lending to their children. Do you have any advice?
That's a very good question, Lori. Those are very, very sophisticated answers for those kind of questions. Now, one of the ways, there are three ways that I would suggest. One is a joint ownership agreement. Another one is a bare trust agreement. A third is a private loan agreement. So each of these three options have their negatives and their positives, their pros and their cons. And I would talk about a little bit about each one of them.
Okay, perfect.
So a joint ownership agreement is an agreement that deals with, especially if two people own the house, the parents and the children, how to manage the house, how to deal with the expenses, how to deal with repairs, how to deal with other items such as if you want to sell the house and if you want to refinance the house, and how to mortgage in the house and how to pay for expenses as they come about. And that agreement deals with those kinds of issues. But sometimes the parents are not on title.
Okay.
So the only person on title is the child,
Yes.
for whatever reasons, the financing, because of the contract. And in that situation, you might want to have something called a bare trust agreement. A bare trust agreement distinguishes between who is legally registered on title and who actually any other persons who may have ownership rights. So, and that is called a beneficial ownership. So the parents will have beneficial ownership. They have an ownership of a percentage of the home, even though they're not registered. And so that agreement can take care of all those things that the first agreement just mentioned, in addition to recognizing that one is non-entitled and one is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the third thing is a private loan agreement. And one of the things about a private loan agreement that's different than a joint ownership or a bare trust agreement is that it just deals with the money alone. It's just how much is owed back to the parents and what circumstances is the money to be given back to the parents. It can be registered on title, so the property can't be sold unless the parents are paid off.
Yes.
But the parents, unlike the bank, they can be very generous. No interest,
Oh, yeah.
until they ask for it.
Yeah.
And I know in a lot of cultures, respect.
Yes.
They could be very different things. The bank of mom and dad can be very generous and can be very lenient and also be very, very helpful to the younger generation.
Very, very generous.
Yeah, but one of the things about generosity as well is also important to be careful, to make sure and to prevent abuses from happening, and to make safeguards. What if something happens that they can get their money back? So there have to be safeguards in place as well.
Yes, for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ivan. This is so informative.
And thanks again for having me here, Lori.